This Sunday, we read the Beatitudes from St. Matthew's telling of the gospel story. And don't let the poetry fool you, because these words are among the most demanding of all of Jesus' teaching. I'm always a little worried on a Sunday when we proclaim Jesus' Sermon on the Mount that someone will wander in accidentally and hearing these words, listening to them because he hasn't heard them before, will walk away convinced that we are completely crazy. Like, I'm not going to find any secular bumper music that somehow alludes to the values in the Beatitudes. There is none. And even for us who regularly hear this teaching, who believe it, who consider the Beatitudes to be the very heart of what it means to be a follower of Jesus, at a very practical level, we haven't really owned them yet. They're very difficult. I remember when I was younger, we kind of went through a phase in the catechesis of the late 70s, the early 80s, where there's a change, a shift of priority maybe from the Ten Commandments to the Beatitudes as the cornerstone of morality. And while that might actually work in the Gospels, we have to do it understanding how Jesus teaches in the Gospels, which we never quite pulled off. It was just that we went from these concrete rules that said, don't do this and don't do this and don't do that, to this kind of beautiful model of a life that was kind of poetic. But the Beatitudes are much more demanding than the Ten Commandments. Because really, you and I, it's not like we want to kill people. We're not saying, man, why did you have to make that law, God, about not murdering? Because there's these 5 people that I want to go murder. Like, we don't feel that way. We don't, at the end of the day, want to commit adultery. We're not upset with God because we're not allowed to lie or cheat or steal. We want to honor our parents and love them and respect them. We want to honor and respect our God. Like, sometimes we're weak and sometimes we fail and struggle with these commandments. But at the end of the day, our hearts are in tune with them. We want them. But when's the last time you woke up in the morning and said, today, I want to become poor? Or when's the last time you woke up in the morning and said, forget pleasure. Today, I want to mourn and be sad and cry. Today, I want to be persecuted and ridiculed. Today, I'm going to be meek and humble, and I'm going to let people walk on me, and I'm going to not take advantage of anybody, not even if it means that I lose out. And when I get to the store and there's only one left, I'm just going to stand back in case somebody else wanted it. Like that's not our heart. And so I think we should acknowledge that if the Beatitudes are the mark of our following of Jesus, we're not doing very well. And I would give up here and say, turn off the video and go do something else, except for my favorite quote from G.K. Chesterton, which is, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. And this is worth doing, but we have to figure it out and expand our hearts enough to understand and embrace this beautiful teaching. It's a teaching of happiness, a teaching of blessing, not a teaching of demand and pain. But how do we get there? There are a lot of ink spilled about the Beatitudes, more than is helpful. But there's something in Bishop Barron's summary, mostly of Thomas Aquinas' work, as he says that in the Beatitudes, Jesus teaches us to love what he loved as he hung upon the cross, to despise what he despised as he hung upon the cross, and to understand the Beatitudes separate from Jesus' ultimate expression of love on the cross wouldn't make any sense to us. And if the Beatitudes are love, like we talk a lot about how our vocation is love, that our God is love, that our relationship with each other is love, that love is somehow this everything in our Christian lives. But love means so many different things, right? And too much of our understanding of love we developed watching romantic comedies. And there's something true there, but there's something missing. And Jesus says that the content of love can be found in the Beatitudes, that we'll know that our love is real as we compare our lives to his hanging on the cross, that we compare our hearts to his as he shares this path of blessedness. I don't think I've ever woken up in the morning and said, I hope that the market crashes. I hope that somebody steals my money. I hope that I can be poor by the end of the day. But I have had opportunities when somebody needed something from me, and I was happier and more blessed in giving them what they needed, even though that left me less secure and less financially stable and less wealthy, but happier because of love, because I had the chance to offer love. I never wake up in the morning and say, today, Lord, fill my life with pain so that I might cry. If I wake up and I have a little headache, I take a couple of Tylenol or whatever they are, and like it goes away. Drink a little coffee, goes away. I'm happy. And yet, I'm willing to suffer pain, and I do, because of love. Nobody should love if they're not willing to have their heart broken, right? And that's not just the brokenheartedness of romantic comedies. It's the pain of betrayal. But even after 68 years of a good marriage, it's the pain of losing our spouse. It's the pain of parents who love their children and ache for their mistakes, but can't fix them because their children are their own people. It's the pain of a friend who desires something good, but has no way to make it happen. Love, if we don't die very young, love will break our hearts. But Jesus says, blessed are those who are willing to love enough to cry tears, enough to have their hearts broken. And those who love know of that commandment. I don't at all desire for people to talk badly about me, for people to persecute me. I kind of like it when people think I'm a good guy, and sometimes I tell jokes just to try to make people think I'm a good guy. But the fact is, I'm willing to say what is true, and stick my neck out for those who need a word of support, for those who deserve the support of a brother in Christ. And sometimes that does make people look a little bit funny my direction. And as awkward as that sometimes is, I recognize that I'm more blessed for not being so addicted to the opinions of others that I can't honestly say what is true between me and my God. And each of the Beatitudes, right? There's so many things to distract our hearts. But how happy we are when love is strong enough to avoid all the distractions and be pure. So much so that Jesus says we could see God. And yes, mercy and kindness and meekness run us the risk of getting walked on, and we might well. But they also make it possible for us to love authentically, sincerely, risking and giving of ourselves. And blessed are we when we do that. We won't live these Beatitudes perfectly until we get to heaven, right? So there's no hurry, right? We can live them poorly. We can live them incompletely. But to recognize in our hearts the desire to love, to allow God to grow inside of us, the love that he had as he hung on the cross, and to fill my heart with the things that he loved, and to take away from my heart the things that he despised, so that I can share in that blessedness, in that beatitude. I speak in first person because I haven't even got through it myself. I share my own struggles with you. And if these words begin to make sense to you in first person also, I think that together we're well on the road of Jesus Christ, well on the road of his love, of his cross, well on the road to his redemption and his resurrection.